Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm back here again to coach you all up financially on some more really good stuff. So as promised, I had a really exciting slew of videos coming up, and I've been wanting to do a dividend portfolio reveal for a long time. And so here it comes. There's a lot of YouTube creators that get into their dividend portfolios and things like that. And that's actually what got me into the YouTube finance community to begin with, because the first YouTuber that I saw, I won't name who it was. Well, one day I guess I will, but I saw them do a dividend portfolio reveal and I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is something I've been doing for years. So I actually, as I said, I was going to talk eventually about my whole like portfolio and how I invest and what my actual allocation is as an investor. But as I developed out the spreadsheet, I realized I have content actually for probably anywhere from 5 to 10 videos. And they're all going to help you to better become the captain of your own financial ship. And that's really key, captaining the ship properly. So as far as dividends, let me make sure I can see a little bit better here. So as you can see on my screen here, where my mouse is actually not the number. This is compounded over time. But so there are 3 different accounts that pay me dividends. So I have a brokerage account, I have a Roth IRA, and I have an employee stock plan. And I'm not going to tell you where that is, but all you get is ESPP. That's it. So be happy with that. This took an act of courage for me to reveal this. So, and this is going to come in phases. So in total, my dividend portfolio, let's make sure this is right here, adding up the 3, comes in at $7,186.63 for annual dividends from these 3 sources, which translates to about $600 a month. Now, keep in mind, before, I know some of you will get some crazy ideas and get ahead of yourself, but keep in mind, 2 of these accounts are non-touchable because they're tax advantaged. So the brokerage account, these dividends are taxable and they get taxed at ordinary income tax rates. Unfortunately, that's a real bummer, but really, if you think about it, dividends are a source of income, so they're going to be taxed at in ordinary income tax rates. Even if you reinvest them, it's kind of a unfortunate quirk of the tax system, and yet kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But dividends are really a great source of passive income, and you want as much of that as possible. At least I do. And this took me to build up to this level of dividends has taken me several years. So this doesn't just happen overnight. But the idea, you can eventually get to where, with compounding, like you see down here on the spreadsheet, I calculated over a 30-year period, I could eventually make $24,000 a year just on dividends, which would be about $2,000 a month. Wouldn't quite pay me what I need to live on, but it would get me closer. And the thing with this, you have the hashtag YOLO crowd, millennials and Gen Z and whatnot, which of course, I mean, I'm a millennial myself. And I certainly identify with this. Like, we don't really feel like we have time to wait for the dividend compounding to accrue to where you can eventually live on dividends. It's just going to take forever. So really, it's a source of passive income. And what I tend to do, I actually don't even touch the dividends as income. I reinvest them in the stocks that they're in. So starting with the Roth IRA, as you can see, I'm in stocks that pay a really good dividend, like AT&T pays about a 6 or 7% dividend, depending on the fluctuation of the stock price. So for me, that's about a $300 quarterly dividend. Dollar General, IBM, AT&T again, and this is 2021 that I'm going over. This is something else here. This is like a 10-cent holding restructuring, and then they paid out some kind of unsponsored, representing whatever. But yeah, so in this one, this is the same kind of value stocks that pay these dividends. My employee stock account pays almost 1,500 in dividends quarterly, and so that keeps compounding, and that's really nice effect of that. The more you get, and then you reinvest that, and then I'll show you here with this one. I did some math already, so I summed these columns here. This was my 2021 dividends in this stock. So take this and then multiply it by this, and then the dividend rate, which this pays out a 2.58% dividend rate. And then if this just grows, let me track with what I did here. So this generated 9 additional shares just with the dividends being reinvested. And then if the stock increases to just a hypothetical amount, that's what this could be worth. And then with the dividends, this is what the dividends could increase to. So there's a compounding effect as dividends get reinvested and buy more shares of stock. There's a compounding effect. Okay, so we reviewed the ESPP and the Roth. Now let's go over the brokerage account. And I have 2022 on here, but you'll notice the calculation I did only sum 2021. So, and this is pretty good, like I say, but this has taken several years to build. And I am a fan of the dividend investing and growing your dividends and all of that. But like I said, it is very slow. It's one source or one prong of the multifaceted financial strategy that you should have. So for now, I'm only going to get into the dividends on this video, but I have several other topics to discuss that are really exciting. I'm going to break out my 401k allocation. I'm going to break out how I invest portfolio wise. I'm going to give percentages only, not dollar amounts. So don't get too excited. This is as close as I'm going to get to revealing dollars. And then I'll go over, believe it or not, the index funds that represent 100% of my 401k and how well they've done. I'm actually majority index investor, believe it or not. I know I talk a lot about options and different individual stocks and all that, which I do, but the vast majority is actually index funds and real estate. That's the majority of my allocation. I'm going to do a life insurance video too, because I have some of that. I'm going to analyze it as an investment because most people don't actually think of life insurance as an investment. But anyway, here I go getting off topic again. Let me analyze here the brokerage account. So I'll just go through real quick the stocks that pay dividends here. Blackstone is one of my top ones. This stock has been a gold mine for me. And this is one I don't hear talked about on YouTube at all, but I'm eventually going to do a video on it because this has absolutely been a gold mine for me. They're basically a publicly traded hedge fund. So it's one of the few that you can actually get into, because typically to get into an actual hedge fund, you have to be you have to have a certain threshold of assets. So being able to buy into one as a publicly traded company is really quite awesome. And this company's been an absolute gold mine for me, probably 200% returns on it. Apple, Verizon, and you can see the dollar amount here, CVS, Marvell, that's a 5G play, General Electric. And there's that ETF I talked about in the mutual fund versus ETF video, the UPRO. That's showing $0, but it pays a small dividend. And then Ecolab, Eastman Chemical, Gilead Sciences, PJT Partners, that's just one share that spun off of something. Oh, there's an evil oil company. Ignore that. I don't want my social and environmental score to get affected by this. Just kidding. Invesco, this is actually, this is a mutual fund. And what did I say? I said I still do hold mutual funds. And the main reason is for the great dividends they pay. Now they pay, these come in like 2 different forms. So there's a dividend and there's like a short-term capital gain that it pays out twice a year. And I hold that because it pays out such a great one. There's two of them that really pay such a great amount. So if you wonder how I can bash mutual funds but still hold them, that's why, because these, even though they do have that high expense ratio, I hold them for the dividend mainly. And I can use that dividend income to buy other stuff. So Invesco. And yeah, I've held those, the Invesco funds, since I worked for the advisors that I mentioned in my last video. That's where that came from. This was part of the fund family that they used to push over there. SHYF, Marathon Oil. Now, Marathon stock has actually increased by a full 100% over the past year. I actually got into it a year ago. It's increased a full 100% because of all of the increase in crude oil and the Russia-Ukraine tension that's going on. And I did a little short video on the Russia-Ukraine tension. Suddenly, like everybody else on the internet now, I'm suddenly a geopolitical expert. So I went to the map room where my actual globe is and talked briefly about it. So Marathon stock is benefiting, I think, from that situation also. So anyway, that's up 100% in the past year, which is really quite awesome. So, and then the Columbia Large Cap Growth Fund pays a really nice dividend at the end of every year for me. That's why I hold that one. I was reinvesting the dividend into the fund, but because the fund is mostly crap, well, the fund is worth more than I paid for it, so I just keep it, and it basically churns out the dividend. It's almost like, the way I look at it, it's like better than having a savings account that pays that paltry interest. That's almost like the original $2,000 investment that I put into those mutual funds. It's almost like that's like my savings account, basically. So I just let that churn out a nice dividend, which is like almost like 25% of the original investment. Hey, that's almost as good as the credit card short that I just did. If you haven't checked that out, please do. For some reason, my short videos are not taken off as quick as they used to. Like it was easy to get like 1,000 views on a short ever since I included that clip of Graham Stephan in one of my videos where he made a comment about, what did he say? He said he wished that the YouTubers that have the highest retention rates could get the most views on the shorts. Like he wanted the algorithm to favor them. And I didn't like that, because it's like, again, it's like a form of like, the top 1%, like getting everything reallocated to them. And I was like, come on, man. Ever since I said that, my short videos are not taken off at all. So I kind of regret saying that. I feel like somehow I'm punished. Maybe the big YouTubers on here have some power that I don't know about. I mean, it seems like if somebody has almost 4 million subscribers, maybe they have some power. So I didn't mean anything. I like him. I watch his channel a lot. I think he's one of the best financial YouTubers. So if the YouTube gods want to bless me again, please do. I just want to grow on here. That's all. I'm trying. Anyway, I tend to get sidetracked a lot, but so ClearBridge, aggressive growth, that pays another nice dividend. Ford Motor Company, ClearBridge Energy, Sirius XM Holdings, Jeffries Group, Citigroup, Tanger, Apple, Blackstone. Ooh, I'm only 2 months in. There's a long way to go. I need to set a timer on these because I ran 33 minutes on the mutual fund video. That was ridiculous. And I think only 15 people watched that because it's so long. I probably should have split it into like part 1 and 2. But anyway, so CVS, Marvel, we'll just run through these quick. Actually, I just won't even say. I'll just, because some of these like recur every quarter. If it's one I haven't mentioned, like Hanhei, it's because they're called Foxconn. That's a pretty good company that pays a dividend too. Let's see, GE. Yeah, a lot of these I've mentioned already. Knight Swift Transportation. I sold that one last year. That one finally got to a point where I wanted it to be at to sell it. I held that one actually when it was just Swift Transportation, and then they merged and became Knight Swift Transportation. And it took them a while to, my threshold on stocks had been like 100% increase, and then I would sell. It took a while to get to that, but it finally did. So I sold out of that one. And then see, here's this one again, this Columbia. It churned out a nice dividend in June. So that's like a bi-yearly dividend. Starbucks. So see, some of these don't pay much, but some of them do pay better. Like Simon Properties Group, this is like a publicly traded REIT. I don't think it's a REIT, but it's a property group that owns commercial property. They own a lot of malls and stuff. There's a newly opened outlet mall by me that the name Simon Properties on it, which I thought was really cool because it's always cool to be able to connect your investments to what you see in real life. I actually took a picture of it. I think that's kind of cool. I'm a financial nerd like that. So I'm going to go back to the beginning here, and then Oracle. Yeah, Oracle I sold at the beginning of last year foolishly, because that Oracle started to, even though I got the 100% increase I was looking for, but it went up like another 50% from there. One thing I can say, one piece of advice, and I guess this really would be advice, even though I say it's not. If you're tempted to churn stocks, one thing that I've found, and maybe I'll show this one day, but every stock I've sold to buy into new stocks, I would have been better off if I just held the stocks, the same ones I was in. They did much better than what I got into. And it's like a double-sided impact, because what happens is that you end up, it's very tax inefficient. Like you hear some other YouTubers say, that's why they promote index investing, because buying and selling individual stocks, churning them, it's very tax inefficient because you're going to get hit with a capital gain each time you sell it. So that's like one of the two hits that I'm talking about, because not only on one side of the coin, it doesn't even perform in the newer stocks, at least for me, they don't even perform as well as the stocks that I sold out of. If I had just kept the stocks that I was in, I would have been better off. And the second side of the coin is that it's very tax inefficient. I would have, you have to pay capital gain every time you sell a stock when it's not in an IRA. Now, if it's in like a Roth, what's really cool about the Roth is that you never have to pay tax because you've already paid the tax up front. So there's no capital gain when you sell in the account. And then when you're of age and you can withdraw, it's all tax free. It's one of the greatest creations ever, in my opinion. So with all of that being said, that's really my dividend portfolio. So dividends to the moon, right? It's not going to happen that quick, but I'm a fan. I really am a fan of the dividend strategy, but it should not be like an end all be all. It should just be one facet of the overall strategy. So, and that's where you can be. If you keep building over time, you can keep these growing and do really well. So I hope that was valuable to all of you all. If you did find it valuable, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep an eye out for my next videos. Actually, if you can see the bottom of the spreadsheet, the topics for the next videos are all basically the different tabs of these. So that's a little sneak peek, and that should be coming later this week. Thanks again for watching, and take care.